While the world had changed for this fall, power had not. It still clung to those strong enough to take it, twisting itself around the hands that refused to let go. Nyala had spent a lifetime wielding it. She had built a throne with blood and will, had shaped Kush into a kingdom that bent only to her. But now, the weight of gold was gone from her wrists. The scent of incense no longer followed her through the palace halls. She watched from the shadows as Jabari sat upon the throne that should have been hers. She had to fix this. She had to take back what was hers. But then, she saw his eyes staring at her, smirking arrogantly. Then she knew he would never give it up. Jabari had always known he was meant to rule. In another life, he had waited. He had played the obedient son, had let his mother hold onto the throne longer than she should have, had stood in her shadow as she looked upon him with doubt. Yeah, that past did not exist. Yeah, he had already won. He was no longer the hesitant prince fighting to prove himself. He was a king, a ruler who had no need to justify his power. Jabari had some thoughts too. His mother had returned as his concubine. He had expected her to rage, to demand her throne back, to try and turn the court against him. But instead, she watched daily, waiting. And that made him uneasy. He had everything he had ever wanted, but power was fragile. It could be taken as easily as it was given. And Nyala had never been the kind of woman who accepted defeat. Kamari continued to watch the world from the shadows. He had fought wars that no longer existed, had led armies that had never marched, had stood at the side of a queen who no longer remembered his name. It was not just the throne that had been taken from him. It was his very existence. The past had erased him, but he refused to disappear. If this kingdom no longer bore his mark, then he would burn it to the ground and carve a new one from its ashes. Ismat had everything she had ever wanted. She woke in a bed of silk, the weight of gold around her wrists, her name spoken with respect instead of indifference. The halls of the palace no longer ignored her. The world had finally returned to her what had been stolen. Yet, something